Good evening, I'm Madam Victoria and today I will take you through a unit by the name Survey of the World History, EHS 212. We are going to learn on topic 2. Topic 2, it's on the World War II. Then the objectives. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain the causes of World War II and identify the effects of the World War II. Then World War II began in the year 1939 and ended in the year 1945. This was due to invasion of Poland by German forces. Then let's look at the causes of World War II. The Treaty of Versailles, the harsh conditions which had been imposed on the Germany after the World War I through the Treaty of the Versailles. It included the massive reparation, territorial losses, whereby they ended up losing some of their colonies to the Allied powers. This led to World War II. Then the rise of fascism. The rise of fascism regimes in Germany under the Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was a dictator. He was a leader of Germany, and Italy under the Benito Mussolini, and Japan under military leaders contributed to aggressive foreign policies and territorial expansionists, which eventually led to conflicts and confrontations within other countries. Then the expansion of policies, the aggressive expansion policies pursued by the Nazi Germany, seeking to annex neighboring territories and establishing German Empire, heightened tension in the Europe. Then the appeasement policy, this policy of appeasement adopted by Western powers such as the Britain, France, and in Hitler's early aggression, this is the Germany, emboldened Nazi Germany and failed to prevent further territorial ambitions. Then the failure of the League of Nations. This was created by the Versailles Treaty after it had failed to maintain peace after the World War I. When the League of Nations failed to create peace, this led to cause of another war, that's the World War II. Then let's look at majorly the cause of World War II. It occurred in the year 1939 to year 1945. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, imposed heavy penalties to Germany and sowed the seeds and the resentment. Expansion of the Nazi Germany under the Adolf Hitler and the Japanese expansion in Asia led to invasion of China in the year 1937. September 1st in the year 1939, Germany invaded Poland, promoting Britain and France to declare war on Germany. This marked the official start of the war. Then Germany rapidly conquered much of Europe, including France and Low Countries and Circadian, which led to blithering tactics. Germany attempted to invade UK, that's the United Kingdom, but was repelled by the Royal Air Force in the Battle of Britain in the year 1940. In 1941, Germany launched an operation known as Barbarossa, a massive invasion in the Soviet Union. The campaign would become the latest and the bloodiest front of the war. Japan attack on the Pearl Harbor in December 1941 led to the United Nations entering the war. The Pacific theater included significant battles in the Battle Midway and the island hopping campaigns. Allied forces, led by the British, they fought against the Axis powers. The Axis powers were the Italy, Germany, and also the Austria-Hungary. Allied forces in the year invaded Italy in the year 1943. Then Italy now became an Allied power, leading now to the Central Powers losing one of their allies, that is Italy, leading to the fall of Mussolini's regime. Mussolini was a dictator in Italy. The Soviet Red Army captured Berlin in the year 1945, leading to Germany's surrender on May 7th. The dropping of atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was led by the USA in the year 1945, led to Japan's surrender on August 15. The dropping of these atomic bombs in the Nagasaki and Hiroshima, this led to many deaths, many people suffering. Until to date, the atomic bomb it's still harmful to the people who live. They are born when they are deformed in those countries. Then factors that enabled Allied powers to win World War II. Industrial and economic strength. They had more economic power, so that they are able to gain money for buying weapons and supplies, which enabled them to continue the war. Then the Allied unity, they were united, hence they were not easily conquered. Technological advancements, they were able to make more weapons, such as the atomic bomb, which was thrown in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then geographical advantage, the Allies had an advantage of fighting multiple fronts, that is the Western Front and the Eastern Front. Then they had good leadership. They had good leaders like the Winston Churchill, the Franklin D. Roosevelt of the France, and the Joseph Stalin was from Italy. Then Allied developed efficient logistics and supply lines, which ensured steady flow of men and materials in the front line. These were the army now. Then the Eastern Front was crucial and theater for war, and the Soviet ability to withstand the initial German onslaught, the pushback and advance into the Eastern Europe played a pivotal role in diverting the weakening Nazi Germany. Then there was also the economic blockage, whereby they had blocked Germany from accessing any weapon from any other nation. Then the strong public support. More public support supported on the Allied powers, hence Germany was not more supported, hence they ended up losing the war. Then factors that led to the defeat of the Central Powers. There were economic disparities. The Allied powers, that is the British Empire and France, had greater economic resources and access to global trade. They could sustain long war, whereas Central Powers faced economic difficulties and shortage of crucial resources due to the blockade and limited access to overseas markets. Then the Allied blockade, this was now the blockade that they couldn't access guns and weapons for the war. Then entry of US on the war. The US supported the Allied powers, whereby the United States provided more and modern weapons, which were better than the Germans' weapons. Hence, the Germans ended up being defeated in the war. Internal problems in the Central Powers. The Central Powers faced internal problems and ethnic tensions, such as the Austro-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire had a diverse and restricted population that weakened their cohesion and stability. Then the military stalemate. The war on the Western Front turned into stalemate with the trench war, which favored the defensive. Then the Central Powers were unable to break their deadlock. Then the Eastern Front. The collapse of the Eastern Front following the Russian Revolution of the year 1917 allowed the Allies to concentrate more resources on the Western Front, fatally tilting the balance in their favor. Then the loss of allies. The Central Powers lost their allies, such as Italy. Italy now went to the Allied powers. Then the defeat of the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire was a significant central power member, and its defeat in the Middle East by the British and Arab forces led to their defeat. Then Allies launched offensive in the year 1918 that broke the Central Powers lines and began to push them back. Then there was also political instability. The Central Powers experienced political instability and dissent with their own ranks. In Germany, the outbreak of German Revolution in the year 1918 led to abduction of Kaiser. That was one of their leaders. Then the Armistice Agreement. Central Powers required Armistice Agreement due to their deteriorating military and economic situation. Then we look at the effects of the World War II, that there were political, social, and economic effects. Let's look at the political effects. There was emergency of superpowers, that is the United States, which were capitalist, and the Soviet Union, the USSR. Then the United Nations. The United Nations was established in the year 1945. This was there after the war, as a response to the failure of the League of Nations to prevent another global conflict, to prevent another war from occurring. Then decolonization. The war weakened European colonial powers, leading to a wave of decolonization in Africa, Asia, and even the Middle East. Then division of Germany. Germany was divided into two, the East and the West Germany, with the East under the USSR, that they went to the communists now, and the West under the influence of Western influence, that's the capitalists. So there were so many conflicts in between Germany. Establishment of the European Union. The devastation of Europe during the war and the desire to prevent future conflicts led to creation and organization like the Europe Coal Steel Community. These were the methods which could help them to develop more on their economy. Then we look at the social effects. There was change in gender roles, whereby the women had to take the roles which were played by the men, because most of them had lost their families, and also men were killed during the war. Then the civil rights and the racial equality. The service of the African American soldiers in the war, often in segregated units, raised question about the racial discrimination and equality. Then displacement and refugees. The war resulted into massive population movement, with millions of people displaced from their homes. Then changing on social norms and values. The war had profound effects on the perspective and values of the younger generation. Then the post-war optimism. The end of the war brought a sense of optimism and desire for a better world. Then we look at the economic effects of the war. The post-war economic boom. In the aftermath of the World War II, many industries developed, for example, which are used to produce the weapons. This led to more production of the weapons. Then there was the Marshall Plan. The United States initiated the Marshall Plan, providing financial aid to help the world war torn in the Europe. This plan not only aided in reconstruction but also fostered economic recovery. Then there was technological advancement. This was advancement in terms of the war drove technological, such as development of jet engines, which could be used in war. Then nuclear power, which was far-reaching effects on industry, science, and also the daily life. Then the Cold War arms race. The Cold War led to the race between the United States and the United Soviet Sovereign Union, that is the USSR. Then globalization. The post-war also increased globalization as trade and economic connection between nations expanded. Then we look at the international relations. International relations, that is IR, is a field that focuses on the interaction, relation, and dynamics between countries and international organizations. It examines the political, economic, social, cultural exchange and conflicts that occurs on the global world. Then we look at the benefits of studying and understanding IR, that's the international relations. A deeper understanding of international relations can lead to more effective conflict resolution and diplomacy. It helps to prevent and manage international conflicts. Then it fosters cooperation between nations and international organizations. This by enabling countries to work together during global challenges such as disease or even the climate. For example, the climate summit. Then international relations helps countries navigate complex trade agreements, understand global economic trends, and make informed economic policies. Then it also plays a role in promoting and protecting the human rights, whereby it allows each country or nation to follow their own constitution on the human rights. Then it helps it's crucial for managing and reforming international organizations like the UN, that's the United Nations, the Commonwealth Nations. Then international relation can foster cross-cultural understanding and cooperation, whereby they enable one to respect other people's culture, their decisions, and also educational exchanges. It drives information and technological advancements. Global cooperation in science and technology facilitated by international relations can lead to advancements in healthcare, communication, and even the space exploration. Ways in which nations relate internationally. Nations can relate internationally in various ways by reflecting the complex and interconnected nature of global politics. These international relations are typically conducted through diplomatic, political, economic, and security channels. We begin with the bilateral diplomacy. Countries engage in a direct diplomatic relation with another through embassies, consulates, and diplomatic missions in bilateral diplomacy involving negotiation, dialogues, and exchange of official representatives. Then there is also military diplomacy. Nations participate in international organizations and forums to address global issues collectively. For example, they include the United Nations, that is the UN, and also regional organizations and the African Union. Then treaties and international agreements. Nations enter into treaties and international agreements to formalize commitment on various issues such as the trade, security, environment, and even the human rights and even climate. Economic relations. International trade involves the exchange of goods and services across borders. Nations negotiate trade and agreements to regulate trade relations. Then there is also security and defense. Nations from military alliances such as the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or the Collective Security Treaty Organization, the CSTO, to enhance security and defense cooperation. Then there is education and scholarship, whereby one can be taken as a scholar to another country. Humanitarian assistance. Nations provide humanitarian aid and assistance to countries facing crises such as the natural disasters, for example, droughts, floods, and also during times of war. And that's the end of my lesson. Thank you.